remember those games in your childhood that were fun? Well, what made those games fun are the game mechanisms. And the game mechanism that I'll be analyzing today is Take That. And now the Take That mechanism is when you use your choices and your movements against the opponent to derail their progress within the game. And these games, they can either be cooperative or they can be cooperative or they can be every man for themselves. And Take That, it's mostly the every man for themselves, or this mechanism is used in. And it can be just as fun as the cooperative games. I mean, a lot of people love cooperative games because everybody wins. That's what makes it fun about it, is knowing that no matter what, everyone as a team can either lose together or win together. But in the every man for themselves, only one person wins and the rest lose. But those every man for themselves games can be just as fun as the ones where everybody wins in it as a team together. And a game that shows that as an example is Mille Bornes. Now, Mille Bornes is a card game where your objective is to go as far as you can in your car as possible. Now, with this, there are specifically different types of decks that are used that either are against your opponents, used to help yourself, and ones that help you go however far you need to go with the distance deck. Now, the hazard one, for example, this one is out of gas, where you can play this to where your opponents, they lose gas and they can't go farther than they can. And with this card, for the safety cards, if your opponent uses the out of gas card on you, you can use this to help yourself get back in the game and to progress. And with the distance cards, those show how far you can go with your card. And another game that uses cards, but more of the player's imagination, is Munchkin. Now, this game, your objective is to gather as much treasure as possible. But you can also go against your opponents by upgrading the monsters. And you can also use cards that help yourself. For example, the potted plant one can help yourself, or you can help your opponents to try and get the treasure since you helped them. For example, this card is the potted plant card, which elves draw an extra treasure after defeating it. Well, if you are an elf, you would definitely want to use this if you can defeat the potted plant so you can get extra treasure. But you can also use it for your opponents to try and help them get more treasure, and that way they can share some with you so that you can get more treasure. And then the mole rat, which is one that you can use against your opponents if they are clerics. For example, this one is +3 against clerics, so if they can't defeat this monster, you can upgrade a monster with a mole rat, so that you can have them not be able to progress farther within the game, and you can save that monster to defeat yourself to get the treasure behind it. And then another game that uses cards is Take That, where they use card placement instead to use the Take That mechanism. Now, with this game, you have to follow a trump in the cards. So you have to lay down a number, and you have to place another card with a number that fits within the range. So a 97 card, you have to fit it within a range of 27 to 97, however, whatever number of cards that will be within that range. And there are these toad cards that you can use that will be -5 points from the opponent that has to pick up all the cards that were placed down. And the only way that the opponent has to pick up those cards is if they run out of cards in their hand before you do. So you have to make sure you strategically plan out how you're going to place your cards, which ones you're going to place, in order for your opponent to lose his cards first, her cards first, to gather up all those negative points with the -5 from the toad ones and the -1 from the regular cards. And all these formats together are completely different in the time span that they were made. And the most recent one was Take That. That was made in around 2016. Now with that one, it uses card placement. And then Munchkin was made at around 2001. And it used imagination from the players with the cards that they used to discover like how they wanted to play them. And with Mille Bornes, it used specified types of decks, and that one was made in the 1900s, 1950s. And that is how it's changed over time. Now, to answer that one question from the beginning, non-cooperative games can be just as fun as cooperative ones. I mean, there are so many ways that you could win, and you can go against your opponents and have a lot of memories from saying, like, remember that one time I used a mall rat on you? Yeah, that was fun. That was great. And so it gives you a lot of great memories from it. And so with that, thank you for listening. And thank you for watching and listening.